Picture this. What if a massive, multi-coach passenger train could thunder down the tracks at over 100 kilometers an hour, driven by a super powerful engine, but it doesn't burn a single drop of diesel? And it doesn't pull electricity from overhead wires either. Even wilder? What if the only thing coming out of its exhaust pipe wasn't toxic black smoke, but pure, clean, completely drinkable water vapor? Sounds like total science fiction, right? Well, it's not. This is happening right now in India.
Welcome back, everyone. Today, we are diving into a totally jaw-dropping milestone in global transportation with this explainer. Prime Minister Narendra Modi just officially flagged off the commercial launch of India's very first hydrogen-powered train. The inaugural run, it's starting on the 89-kilometer Jind-Sonipat section over in Haryana. For decades, the smartest engineering minds have been trying to figure out how we make heavy transport actually green without just, breaking the bank or losing power. Today, we're going to see exactly how this incredible water train pulls off the ultimate magic trick, generating its own electricity right on board, safely and powerfully.
All right, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll meet the water train, look at train power past and present, and then peek inside the hydrogen engine itself. After that, we'll cover the infrastructure and safety protocols, why this breakthrough actually matters for you, and finally, the future of clean transit. Let's get into it.
Section 1. Meet the water train, India's historic rail breakthrough. So this beast was developed by the Integral Coach Factory, or ICF, down in Chennai. And look, this 10-coach setup is not some tiny science fair prototype. It is currently one of the longest, most powerful hydrogen-powered broad-gauge passenger trains on the planet. This is heavy-duty, real-world engineering at scale. Putting a massive 10-coach train on the tracks fueled purely by alternative energy, that proves this tech is absolutely ready for prime time.
Section 2. Train power past and present, understanding the baseline. Okay, so to truly appreciate how crazy this new engine is, we kind of need to look at the baseline. How do trains normally get around? Understanding the old way makes this new leap forward make a whole lot more sense.
Historically, we've basically had two legacy options for heavy rail. First up is diesel traction. You know these, huge internal combustion engines burning heavy fossil fuels, pumping out toxic emissions. The second option is overhead electrification. Those are the thick copper wires you see hanging above the tracks. Now they give us zero tailpipe emissions, which is great, but setting up thousands of kilometers of wiring? That is astronomically expensive to build and maintain. Think of it like throwing a backyard party. If you want music, traditional electrification is like running a really fragile, incredibly long extension cord all the way from your kitchen to the back fence. A diesel train? Well, that's like firing up a loud, smelly gas generator right next to your guests. Neither is perfect for every situation. And that is exactly where the hydrogen fuel cell steps in. It's like the ultimate, totally silent, high-tech alternative. Here's how the magic actually works. First, you pump pure hydrogen gas into one end of the cell. Next, the machine breathes in just normal oxygen from the air outside. Then, through this brilliant chemical reaction, those two gases snap together. It's called chemical bonding. The sheer atomic energy that gets released when they bond is instantly captured as pure, steady electrical current. And the only byproduct dripping out the bottom? Literally just clean, liquid water. This train is essentially carrying its own zero-emission power plant right in its belly. No fossil fuels, no endless extension cords.
Section 3. Inside the hydrogen engine, the brilliant hybrid architecture. Let's look closer at the core engineering here, because the cause and effect loop is seriously sophisticated. Engineers essentially ripped out those heavy, polluting diesel engines from the old train bodies and swapped them for a totally zero-emission hybrid system. It's a completely reimagined powertrain for the modern era.
I want you to just wrap your head around this number. 3,200. That is the massive horsepower capacity of this propulsion system. To put that into perspective, it's like taking 25 average family cars, tying them together, and having them all pull at maximum capacity at the exact same time. It cranks out 2,400 kilowatts of raw electrical energy. This makes it an absolute powerhouse in global clean transit. We are absolutely not sacrificing strength for sustainability here.
So how do you manage all that power? The train has these driving power cars at both ends, and they hold 4 sets of advanced power packs. Each pack uses an elite hydrogen fuel cell imported from a Canadian specialist called Ballard, and they pair it directly with a high-capacity lithium ferro-phosphate battery. Now, why that specific battery? Well, lithium ferro-phosphate batteries are incredibly stable.
They're built to handle the intense, rapid charging and discharging a massive train needs without overheating. It's this brilliant dual-source architecture that perfectly balances making power with storing it.
Now, to understand how it runs so efficiently over long distances, we've got to talk about regenerative braking. Simply put, this is the process of capturing the kinetic energy from the train's slowing wheels, flipping it around, and sending it right back into the onboard batteries. Think about it like this. When this massive, heavy train comes up to a station and hits the brakes, the system's electronic brain instantly stops draining the battery. Instead, it harvests the physical momentum of all that weight slowing down. It creates this amazing loop that keeps the whole electrical system charged up without wasting a single drop of energy. It creates this beautiful dynamic balancing act. When the train starts from a dead stop, it needs a ton of initial torque, right? So it draws heavily from the fuel cell. Then, as it accelerates to cruising speed, any extra electricity the fuel cell makes gets funneled straight back into topping up the lithium battery. During cruising or braking, it stops draining the battery entirely and captures that kinetic energy. The end result? By the time the train finishes its daily 356-kilometer route, those onboard batteries automatically return to a healthy 80% charge. Systemic efficiency just stays at its absolute peak all day long.
Section 4. Infrastructure and absolute safety. Ironclad security protocols. Let's shift gears and look at what happens off the train. To fuel this absolute beast, Indian Railways built a fully custom 1.5 megawatt facility right at the Jind station. It's there to supply the roughly 300 kilograms of hydrogen the train needs every single day. I mean, you can't exactly pull this thing up to a regular gas station. And handling this fuel, it requires dealing with extreme physical pressures. Compressed hydrogen is highly volatile, and it has to be stored at pressures between 200 and 500 bar. For context, that is hundreds of times the normal atmospheric pressure you're feeling right now. To make sure the transfer is completely safe, an advanced chiller plant actually cools the gas down to a freezing minus 15 degrees Celsius. That makes it super dense for fast, secure fueling. And crucially, this whole operation is cleared by PSO, India's Petroleum and Explosives Safety Organization. They are the absolute ultimate authority on making sure industrial fuels are handled flawlessly. As for the train cars themselves, they are basically moving fortresses. The rooftops are packed with hypersensitive hydrogen leak detectors and advanced optical flame sensors scanning the environment 24/7. On top of that, there's an automated isolation loop. If it senses even the tiniest pressure drop, it seals off the main storage tanks in literal milliseconds. There are just so many overlapping layers of proactive defense running in the background, making passenger safety an absolute certainty. Honestly, you're probably safer sitting directly on top of these fuel tanks than you are driving your own car down the highway.
Section 5. Why this breakthrough matters. Changing your daily commute. All right, time for the crucial so what question. We've talked physics, batteries, heavy infrastructure, but how does this actually change the day-to-day life for an everyday commuter?
Just think back to a traditional regional train ride. The old commute meant aggressive mechanical vibrations rattling your teeth and the deafening roar of heavy diesel cylinders exploding right beneath the floorboards. It was loud, it smelled bad, and it was just kind of exhausting. But your new commute on the hydrogen train, because it runs on silent electrochemistry instead of combustion, you get near total acoustic silence and absolutely zero tailpipe pollution. It takes a chaotic, draining morning ride and turns it into a peaceful, comfortable space where you can read, get some work done, or just relax. It's a total game changer.
Section 6. The future of clean transit, heritage, and high-tech careers. Let's zoom out a bit, beyond just this one pilot route in Haryana. Because this single train is literally the spark that's going to set off a massive wave of ecological preservation across the entire country.
Check out this incredible initiative called Hydrogen for Heritage. Indian Railways is planning to roll out 35 more of these wire-free hydrogen trains specifically for the country's most beautiful and fragile mountain corridors. We're talking about iconic routes like the Kalka-Shimla, Darjeeling, and Nilgiri lines. What this means is regions that rely heavily on tourism can welcome millions of visitors without scarring those pristine mountainsides with ugly electrical poles or choking the crisp mountain air with diesel exhaust. It's an amazing way to protect nature while still boosting the local economy. But beyond the environment, the human impact is massive too. Mastering this tech on home soil puts India into an elite global technology club. It opens up a golden highway of high-value industrial careers. We're talking about massive, future-proof jobs for chemical engineers, battery technicians, automation architects, and safety inspectors. It secures a sustainable net-zero future while handing the next generation a ton of brilliant, well-paying technical careers. Honestly, it's just as much an investment in human capital as it is in green tech.
So to wrap up this explainer, the commercial launch of India's first hydrogen-powered train is nothing short of a monumental engineering triumph. It proves to the entire world that yes, we can run heavy passenger rail networks using nothing but clean hydrogen and normal oxygen. By nailing the infrastructure and mastering this hybrid architecture, we are taking a stunning leap into the very vanguard of global green mobility. And the best part? We're leaving nothing but pure water vapor in our wake.
Which brings us to a final provocative question. Now that hydrogen trains are an actual operational reality, should governments aggressively push to replace all remaining diesel engines with hydrogen fuel cells, or should we just focus our budgets entirely on building traditional overhead electric wires? What do you think the best path forward is? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, make sure to smash that like button on this explainer, and I will see you all next time.